Okay, let's try this again. I'm at the Discovery Tower now. Also, it says welcome home behind me. I'm right here on the corner where you can see where it goes into the patio and beautiful view of the tower here. And then, oh, isn't this gorgeous? And then it goes into the main lobby here. Apparently, because there's a lot of noise and a lot of traffic and stuff, and because it's time to go home, I have to make it short, and because I want to make it in shorts rather than going on and on and on, to make things simple. But something that needs to be addressed and that I'm really, really happy about, to thank God and praise God, and where the question comes up, where was God during the difficult times, and that infamous evening of me being thrown out and all that was going on. God was in what I call the 5 C's. For the Colo, the comeback, when I was invited back to the meeting 2 years later, Catherine, and Costco. That's what I call the stool to sit on, which has been an emotional support and really helped me through some very, very difficult times. And we'll get to each one individually, as I have done before, and all those blessings are wonderful, each in their own way. One is more beautiful than the other. And also with the new camera that I have here, I hope you like it. I still, when I'm filming myself or filming during the day, I still prefer the other camera because I think it has a little bit more color and definition. But when I videotape the dark rides, I'm not going to go back to the old camera, the Nord 200. This is a Motorola G25. Okay, and also that's another C, the camera. And then also the question, which, when choose between one or the other, all of these things have helped me during some of these most difficult times. And all these blessings, I love them, each and every one of them, each in their own way. But to be more up to date, I praise God and thank God that I'm healthy, that I'm alive, after having been in the hospital for 5 days because of a deadly back infection where 2 doctors were working on me. I don't need to be graphic. And then it was discovered that I have diabetes. I'm finally opening up to what happened. Oh, but it was 300. That's why they hospitalized me for 5 days. And that's what had happened. And but all the doctors were good, and they treated me well at the hospital. And there's some really interesting stories at the hospital where they took good care of me, and they were working diligently to send me home. And heck, I was so healthy that the healthcare, the nurse coming to my house, they declined that. But the wound, where it took 3 weeks for the hole to close from the inside, I'm very grateful that they took care of me. My doctor, Thun Win, and his sweet assistant, and also Karen, all of them were wonderful, wonderful, helping assure me that in spite of everything that was going on, that I was healthy. So to look at it from that point of view, that I'm healthy, that instead of being dead, instead of being 6 feet underground in a morgue with a toe tag, I'm here in Disneyland Hotel. And I went to Disneyland twice already with my new camera, with the Costco 3-day ticket. And then I'm going also for Christmas. Also, I'm using it I don't do Halloween. I'm using it for the 3rd day for Christmas. And then also Maddie, my boss, her mother Gina, who works at the Grand Californian, is going to send me also. So I'm going to have 2 days more of Christmas in Disneyland. And also that, praise God, I'm healthy in spite of everything, that I was able to go to Del Amo Mall 3 times. Oh my God, you need an Uber to go from one end, because Torrance, I have an emotional attachment to Torrance because that was my hometown back in the 80s, 85 and 86. And then my late father moved back here to Costa Mesa. And then also with the Torrance, both the good and the bad and the ugly, I also visited, after 26 years, the Marriott where the meeting took place. And I got an interesting story how that played out, and I'll get into that. And then I went to LA, where I walked from Disney Concert Hall, where I parked, Grandin 1st to Grandin 8th at the Whole Foods Market, and going downhill. That's a challenge, going downhill, because you look up and you think you're going to lose your balance. And God's been good to me, where I fell twice at McDonald's. I didn't look where I was going to the kiosk to check something, and I slipped over the Ronald McDonald's. I'm serious. And then also when I was coming home, when I go by a Newport Boulevard, also a car was coming toward me, and then someone who was probably slammed and wasted and drunk driver, but I was able to swerve right away. And then when I was filming in LA, and various restaurants that I liked, where I fell, I didn't see where I was going. It's on camera since I like souvenirs. I didn't see where I was going. Right in front of the steps while I was filming, I landed on the sidewalk, and there was a tiny, tiny bruise. But other than that, I was good and I was healthy. So God has been protecting me, like God is. And even where I was being foolish, where I didn't watch where I was going, that God was still helping me and protecting me. So where it's like God's saying, I took care of you, I fed you, I send you to fill maybe a little bit too much at Costco. We all eat like hungry wolves there. So it's God. Then it's like God's way of saying, then I want you to hand over this particular matter to me. The trilogy. We'll just call it the trilogy. The night that I was thrown out, and then the 2 meetings at the Marriott, and also different things that it was God's way of saying that it's old and outdated. It's easier for me to see it when I went there to visit. When I went to see, I'll tell the Marriott story in just a moment. This is real. This is like a page out of the Twilight Zone. But it's like talking now to Dan and Carol, not because of you, but because God has been so good to me and God has been taking care of me, that way to hand over that trilogy over to God and to focus on that process, to do that, because it is a process. And I do need to take a break, and I'll be right back, but I gotta tell the Torrance story. That is crazy. Okay, I'll be back in a moment.